All right, so let's go ahead and move on. Anthony Miller is supposedly going to get traded, and we've known this for a little bit right now. There's been speculation. Apparently, there's multiple suitors. The Bears have been taking calls for him. So the big things I want to kind of go over in this segment is, A, what is his value? And I guess we'll start there. What is his value? Because he had here's the thing with Miller. He has a ton of potential. Even after last year, I can confidently say that if he goes out with a new team and consistently finds himself to be an upper, 800-yard season receiver, I could easily see that. That is not off the table in my eyes.
Yeah, I'm inclined to agree with you. I mean, I'm someone that I had lofty expectations of him going into this last season, and it's because I see the talent that he has, obviously. I think that he's someone that just gets lost in the game. I mean, so many times you just go weeks without even thinking about Anthony Miller because he just doesn't show up. And I think for, a couple of seasons, that was partly just Trubisky not being able to find him. But then, this past season was all like in his head. It was his mental game and, a few pretty crucial drops, here and there, which, he needs to definitely tighten up. He's kind of had that issue a little bit, but he always seemed to be there in some crucial moments earlier in the season and it really faded out. Because it was looking like he was going to start to put together a pretty good season, I'd say up until like week 5 or 6, and then everything kind of just started to fall apart, and the season could not have ended worse for him, and just kind of him going on a bad disciplinary note. I think that left a really sour taste with a lot of the upper management as well.
Week 1, he was playing amazing. I mean, he was so important in that Detroit comeback game. I mean, I think the hard thing with Miller is that from what I hear from all of our, Bears detectives on Twitter, apparently, again, this could just be a bunch of random people just making stuff up. But I did hear about this with him when he was kind of coming out of the draft. He doesn't really study the playbook. He's not a guy that's, he doesn't like that stuff. So he's constantly running the wrong routes or kind of, doing his own thing, which is something that Antonio Brown made a lot of money doing. He did that really well up in Pittsburgh. It was the same thing with him, is that he just kind of did whatever he wanted to. But when you have a bad quarterback, that this type of stuff doesn't really work out well. And especially in the type of offense the Bears run, it's very scripted. So you do need a receiver who's able to, who's able to execute plays as they're intended to do. And the way that, with the specifically Nagy's scheme, the way that routes are ran are very intentional. It's this wide receiver is intended to get the middle linebacker out of this gap to open it up for the outside receiver to, it's very intentional. So clearly an issue. I think they were hoping they could coach that out of him, but they couldn't.
It was very much why Allen Robinson was always Trubisky's favorite target, because he was always where he was supposed to be. I mean, definitely one of the bigger upsides of Allen Robinson is his route running ability, and at least he was able to be there somewhat consistently. And yeah, it's definitely a bigger knock on Anthony Miller, and it's not that the talent isn't there. I think that he's shown plenty of upside. It's the consistency and I guess kind of an effort thing and not wanting to put in the mental minutes for the game. I mean, it's so much a mental game, and when you're working with Nagy, I mean, I think we can all have a fair share of criticisms for Nagy and some of the decisions he's made offensively. But when you're going to work within that scheme, you have to play by those rules that are going to help it be the best. And, kind of straying too far from that is going to put him in the situation where he is now.
I think he was also upset by Darnell Mooney's emergence. I think he did not handle that well, because Mooney quickly became the wide receiver 2 and he quickly became the wide receiver 3. And I think that bothered him a little bit. But again, where's his value at? I mean, he has multiple suitors. Would it surprise? I think realistically, I think we get like a 5th for him, but would it surprise you if we got a 4th? All right, guys, really quickly before we continue with the show, we have to let you know that this podcast is supported by Manscaped, who is the best in men's below-the-waist grooming. Manscaped offers precision-engineered tools for your family jewels, and they obsess over their technology developments. They're trusted by over 2 million men worldwide, and we have an exclusive offer code for our listeners, 20% off plus free shipping using code bare necessities, no space, at manscaped.com. Manscaped sent both Reese and I over a bunch of their tools and formulations from their Perfect Package 3.0. And guys, Manscaped is a great company. They wanted us to wait until we try the products to give you guys our honest opinion. And it is a very good product. They have no-nick technology and a little LED light, which helps you get the job done a little bit easier. Both Reese and I have really enjoyed the Lawnmower 3.0 so far, and we're looking forward to trying a lot of their other products. The underwear that they sent us in the box too has been spectacular, and if you guys are into athletics or, go to the gym frequently, highly recommend those as well. And guys, really quickly, if you use the same razor on your face as below the waist, guys, that's a little bit nasty. Try to pick up something specifically engineered for that below the waist region with the Lawnmower 3.0. Get 20% off and free shipping with the code BARENECESSITIES at manscaped.com. That's 20% off and free shipping using code BARENECESSITIES at manscaped.com. Make sure you check how to spell that in the description. That's going to support the podcast tremendously. Unlock your confidence and always use the right tools for the job with Manscaped.
No, I think a fourth would be somewhat reasonable just due to what he's shown. Maybe even like a fifth and a sixth.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I could see that. Maybe that's even more likely than a fourth would be a fifth and a sixth or a fifth and a seventh, something like that. Mm-hmm. And I could see that there's definitely settling for just a fifth. But I think the fact that there's multiple suitors gives me confidence that maybe they could at least get a fifth and, a lower pick and or at least a fourth. I think that they can get a somewhat decent haul.
And the fact that they didn't trade him so far, it makes me believe that it's not like a dire situation. Like, it's probably something that, like, if they can trade him, they will. But if they can't, it's not a huge deal. So, yeah, I mean, I think Miller's time, I think, a change of scenery is what he needs and what the Bears need as well. Clearly, things didn't work out. It's hard to call it even a bust of a pick by Ryan Pace, even though it didn't turn out the way we expected it to. It's like his first year was so promising, and even like the second year he was doing pretty good. It's just one of those things where it's like it's a bad situation, and it's just it's not a. I don't think there's anything necessarily wrong with the player. I think there's something wrong with the fit. So I wish him well.
I think he'd be fun in like Tampa Bay.
Yeah. Take over that Antonio Brown.
That would, if working with, kind of running, working that, kind of same role and working with Tom Brady. I mean, I think that kind of talent with, if Tom Brady was able to set him straight a little bit,
mm-hmm.
I mean, then the opportunities are honestly endless.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think that he needs to go. He needs to go to a place that's okay with, he needs to go to a place that's okay with his downfalls.
Yeah, ultimately.
So, I mean, we'll move on there. It's going to be sad to see Miller go because, I mean, we even made a podcast. We made a podcast. I mean, this might go down in infamy, and it should, that he could potentially take over that wide receiver 1 position. We definitely made that podcast last year, and we mentioned it a couple of times that, like, hey, this guy is talented. I think in the moment we weren't wrong for speculating on that, but in hindsight, it's not the best take.
I think I even said he could have like an Odell Beckham trajectory. I think.
Yeah.
I gave him a lot of gas as far as what I think his potential is, and I don't think that's lost. But very much, you can't downplay kind of the whole effort issue, and that's probably why the change of scenery is the best. And if the Bears have the opportunity to move him, like you said, I mean, he'll be gone, and it'll suck to see him succeed with another team.
I think he will. Truthfully, I think that he will.
Yeah. I think so too. It's just that's kind of the way it goes. Sometimes things just don't fit right.
Yeah. And this is the only podcast here where we own up to our bad takes. We built this podcast on authenticity, so damn, we are going to be authentic.
Damn right.
Damn right. So yeah, once all of our terrible takes on, I mean, hey, we While we also own up to our bad takes, we definitely gloat on our good takes as well. We've definitely talked about, calling for the Kyle Fuller potentially getting cut situation. We definitely gloat on that. We did. Again, I'll bring it up. I know a lot of people have been asking me. They're saying, "Hey, Austin, weren't you the guy that said that Miami is going to trade their 3rd overall pick?" And, I always respond with, yes, I was that guy. And thank you for asking. So,
yeah, I can't wait until we get the video cameras to record us because of the hand motions that were going on as we were talking that out. But yeah, no, I mean, we deliver a lot of different takes here, and we've definitely been wrong. We've definitely been right. And honestly, if we were right all the time, doing this podcast would suck.
Yeah, that would
we just
suck.
do a lot of speculating, and that's honestly all we do. And if we were 100% good at speculating, it would just be terrible. A little bit of variety.
Yeah.
Is
and here's the thing too, is thank God that we disagree on things, because God, if anything kills good podcasting, it's just when it's just, a complete circle jerk where they just all agree with each other and like, oh yeah, that's a good point. It's like,
it happens. I know
sometimes I make bad takes. Sometimes you make bad takes. It happens.
Yeah. Sometimes, probably me more so than you. Sometimes
I agree.
But, I just I talk what comes to my mind is what I say, and sometimes I have some very interesting takes. But hey, that's the way it goes.
That is the way it goes, and I'm definitely subject to becoming a little bit too much of a Bears fan. I'm sure our fans realize that, and sometimes that can cloud my judgment.
Let me tell you about that sometimes.
Yeah, right.
I gotta ground you sometimes. You're thinking like, oh man, this could really get us there. Like Austin.
Yeah, I after I learned my lessons after convincing myself into somewhat liking Nick Foles, so I think I should be good for this season.